Lewis Hamilton has just dropped a bombshell, so explosive, so brutally honest, that it threatens to shake the foundations of Ferrari from the inside out. His words following the Canadian Grand Prix weren't merely a response to yet another disappointing weekend. They were a clear and direct warning, a warning that something is deeply broken within Maranello. This isn't about a single race or even a series of poor results. This is Hamilton pulling back the curtain on a culture he sees as outdated, a system that refuses to evolve, and a legendary team that's completely lost touch with what it truly takes to win in the modern era of Formula One. While Red Bull, McLaren, and even Mercedes continue to push the boundaries of innovation and execution, Ferrari seems to be spinning its wheels, bogged down by indecision, communication breakdowns, and strategic blunders. And now, one of the greatest drivers in F1 history is speaking out, not with subtle jabs or politically correct sound bites, but with raw, pointed frustration that demands attention. So whatever you do, don't blink, because what Hamilton has just revealed could reshape Ferrari's entire 2025 season and redefine his role inside the Scuderia. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the very end, because you won't want to miss a single word of what Lewis Hamilton just unleashed. Now here's where things get truly alarming. What Hamilton revealed after the Canadian Grand Prix wasn't the emotional outburst of a frustrated driver. It was calculated, controlled, and absolutely intentional. This was a dismantling of the illusion that Ferrari still has a handle on things behind closed doors. It's becoming more and more evident that Hamilton's faith in the Ferrari project is starting to fracture. Not because of one bad result, but because of a repeated, troubling pattern. A pattern of indecision when clarity is critical. A pattern of silence when answers are needed most. A pattern of clinging to instinct and tradition when modern F1 demands precision and progress. In Montreal, Hamilton didn't just critique the car's performance. He questioned the entire structure of Ferrari's race day operations. The failure to interpret live data, the lack of meaningful, timely communication between driver and engineer, the glaring disconnect between the cockpit and the pit wall. These aren't teething issues of a new partnership. These are deep systemic fractures, and they're becoming harder to cover up with each passing race. Just think about it. We're nearly halfway through the season, and Hamilton, arguably the most experienced and decorated driver on the grid, is still receiving vague, unhelpful responses from his race engineer during critical moments. Still asking basic questions like, "Where's my pace gone?" and getting nothing back but cryptic replies like, "We're looking into it." That's not just miscommunication. That's negligence. And Hamilton isn't the only one sounding the alarm. After the race, a wave of voices echoed his concerns. Journalists, former drivers, even insiders began openly questioning how Ferrari, boasting two elite drivers in a supposedly competitive package, managed to implode once again on a weekend that should have delivered so much more. The speculation is now serious, that Ferrari's internal feedback loops are so broken, so poorly calibrated, that even live driver input is either dismissed, misunderstood, or flat out ignored. But this isn't just about Canada. This is the culmination of months of mounting frustration. Races lost not because of a lack of pace, but because of strategic errors, communication breakdowns, and missed opportunities to bring timely upgrades. And Hamilton knows this all too well. He's come from a team where these details were the difference between winning and losing. Now he finds himself repeating the same frustrating conversations, race after race, as his new team drifts further from the front. Perhaps the most damning part of Hamilton's post-race comments wasn't the tone. It was the content. When Hamilton says, "I don't know why we haven't brought upgrades," that's not just a complaint. It's an exposure. That's a 7-time world champion telling the world that Ferrari, despite all its legacy, is still lacking the infrastructure and agility needed to compete at the sharp end of the grid. In a season where every tenth of a second matters, Ferrari is dragging its feet, and Hamilton has had enough. His words were surgical. He didn't call out individuals, he didn't shout. But the implications? Enormous. "There's a lot going on in the background," he said, and the weight of that sentence was unmistakable. Because what's happening behind the scenes at Ferrari isn't just a technical issue. It's cultural. It's structural. And for a team as obsessed with honor, legacy, and image as Ferrari, having a driver of Hamilton's stature publicly pull back the curtain is nothing short of a seismic shock. And the question now is, what does it say when Lewis Hamilton, in just his first season, is already sounding more like an internal reformer than a racer? What does it mean when he's no longer talking about podiums, but about laying foundations for a future rebuild? It means the dream is unraveling fast, and this could have serious consequences, not just for Ferrari's 2025 season, but for their long-term direction. Because when a driver like Hamilton starts to doubt the team's methods, others take notice: sponsors, technical staff, engineers from rival teams. They all pay attention. And what they're seeing now is a Ferrari operation, under pressure, publicly exposed, and internally unstable. If Ferrari can't respond decisively to what happened in Canada, they risk something even more damaging than another poor result. They risk losing Hamilton's belief. Once that belief is gone, the real collapse begins, not just on the track, but inside the team's very identity. Because this wasn't just a race gone wrong, this was the most decorated driver in modern F1, telling the world, this isn't working, not like this. And if Maranello isn't listening now, they may soon find themselves in a crisis far greater than any on-track disappointment. And that's why this moment matters. This bombshell is more than a quote. It's a fault line, and if Ferrari don't stabilize it quickly, everything they've tried to build around Hamilton could come crashing down before it ever truly began. So don't even think about looking away now. Because what Lewis Hamilton has just done goes far beyond a frustrated post-race interview. This is a message, a warning, and maybe even a challenge to the very institution he's now a part of, with every carefully chosen word. He hasn't just highlighted Ferrari's cracks, he's driven a spotlight directly into the heart of Maranello, illuminating flaws that have long been whispered about, but rarely acknowledged on the record. And that's what makes this moment so pivotal. We're not just witnessing a top driver calling out his team after a disappointing result. We're watching one of the most successful champions in the sport's history publicly demand accountability, demand change, demand answers. And when a voice is respected, experienced, and methodical as Lewis Hamilton's begins to shake the foundation, the entire paddock pays attention. It's not just a question of whether Ferrari will bring upgrades next week or whether their race strategy improves in the next Grand Prix. It's whether Ferrari is even capable of transforming itself into the kind of team that deserves to have someone like Lewis Hamilton in its garage. Because what happened in Canada wasn't isolated. It was symptomatic of something deeper, an operational inertia, a lack of urgency, a culture that Hamilton now seems determined to confront head-on. And if Ferrari refuses to listen now, if they let pride, tradition, or internal politics silence the alarms Hamilton is sounding, then they're not just risking more lost races, they're risking a complete collapse of the one thing they can't afford to lose: credibility. This is about more than just lap times, more than just broken brake pedals and missed strategy calls. This is about the soul of Ferrari, about whether it's willing to evolve or whether it will let history weigh it down until even the brightest talents can no longer carry it. Hamilton has made his stance clearly, firmly, and without theatrics. He's here to lead, but he won't do it. Blindfolded, he's here to win, but not with a team that refuses to adapt. And after the chaos of Montreal, that path forward is no longer vague. Ferrari now faces a binary choice: change or collapse. So stay with us, because the fallout from this bombshell isn't just going to play out behind closed doors. It's going to erupt across every garage, every strategy briefing, and every race weekend for the rest of the season. Make sure you're here for all of it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because if Lewis Hamilton's statement was the spark, then what comes next could be the fire that either forges a new Ferrari or burns the old one down completely.